Thank you all for your generosity. And now it's my pleasure to welcome to our pulpit one more time, Reverend Forrest Gilmore, who will bring us a message on speaking to the moment. Forrest?
It's good to be with you this morning. Nice to see you, everybody. It's been a few months, but it's always a nice way and opportunity to join you. And I have been in Indiana now for, it's going to be 17 years. It'll be 17 years this summer. And I remember when Jan and Steve and I met for the very first time at where I was helping in a sabbatical ministry over at All Souls. And they invited me soon after to come join you, and I've been coming ever since. So it's been at least 16 years, I think. So it's good to be with you and just kind of see that journey over time and continue to be with you. I want to open us together into a time of meditation and prayer. And I'd like to start with a poem from Wendell Berry, which is one of my favorites and which speaks to the times, I think, in a way. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Holy and loving mystery, we come together in this sacred time to celebrate community, compassion, freedom to think and decide and understand, love for all that is holy and good. We stand in the dream of a world made fair through love and justice. And we stand on the precipice of a reality that is not quite there, maybe even not even close to there. Many of us may be feeling the matters of the world press deeply on our hearts and our minds, and our bodies and our souls. And I invite us into just a gentle moment where we set aside the tragedies of the world and tend to our own souls, that we allow ourselves to breathe and be at ease, that we offer ourselves a moment of peace and freedom, that we give to ourselves the love that we so deeply advocate for others. We allow ourselves to feel tenderness, to feel whole, to have a moment of care just for ourselves. Let us be in silence together. Alone, amen. And blessed be. Love, 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 love. People, we are made for love. Love your neighbor and yourself, for God is love. Want to try that with me? Love, 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 people. People, we are made for love. Love your neighbor as yourself, for God is love. Try again. Love, 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 love. People, we are made for love. Love your neighbor as yourself, for God is love. Once more. Love, 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 love. People, we are made for love. Love your neighbor as yourself, for God is love. I always like singing that particular song with you all because you have those words ensconced downstairs, in the wall, which it was an old kind of building cornerstone in the building of years past that acknowledge our heritage of that deep, abiding truth of God is love. We are a religiously free community, so even in reflections to who and what God is, or even if we use that term, that is up to each and every one of us in our individual consciences. But it's important, I think, also to remember that distinct truth of God and love, God is love, is a deep part of our heritage that drives our values and who we seek to be in the world. In times like these, I think it is especially important to stay true to our values. I imagine many of you in kind of taking in the state of the world, maybe feeling confused or angry or exhausted or overwhelmed or afraid. And I think when we feel these things, and maybe always, but I think especially when we feel these things, these are the moments that we are called upon to hold on to what is true. These are the moments that we are called upon to lift up the beauty in our lives and life itself. And these are the moments when we are called upon to remind ourselves of the good we are called once again to remind ourselves that love is at the center and that love for our neighbor is how we are called to live. The United States, our nation, under the leadership of its president, attacked a sovereign nation and killed its leader yesterday. And I think many of us may feel a lot of different things about that. For me, this incident is the latest in a long line of what I consider chaotic and immoral actions perpetrated by the head of the United States government and his teams, all while fleeing very credible accusations of pedophilia, rape, fraud, and money laundering. You know, in my own world of homeless services, which is what I do most of the time professionally, is work with people experiencing homelessness or have experienced homelessness. Our government just recently announced that they would be cutting permanent housing funding by 70% to people without homes. Massive, massive cut. This is to people who are currently housed who have been homeless for extensive periods of time. And my organization alone provides housing to hundreds of people with disabilities and families with children every year through this funding. Over this past Christmas, I went to a holiday party at one of our apartment complexes for people with disabilities, which is funded by this federal funding. And I looked around this group of people, very eclectic group of people, lots of challenges, lots of struggles that they had, but they were there all together celebrating with joy, enjoying food together, enjoying companionship together, enjoying jokes and enjoying each other. And I knew that every person in that room would still be living in homelessness or would be dead without this support that they were receiving with their homes and the care that goes along with it. And I also knew that if this funding went away, they'd be all on the streets again. These are people in wheelchairs, these are people who are blind, these are seniors, people with schizophrenia. None of them were in a position where they could become financially independent. And I began to wonder if each of these people would be here in a year, this holiday party, looking around, celebrating their holidays in their homes. And I wondered if that would be happening for them in a year, or even if they'd even still be with us. I will say that the cuts have been put on hold by a court, but future funding remains in limbo as all of this is sorted out. Our funding expires on August 31st, so literally there's no more money for these programs starting on that date. And the decisions of how to move forward have yet to be made. And with those cuts looming, the Indiana General Assembly passed a law this week making it a crime to camp on any public land throughout the state of Indiana, where people who are sleeping outside, deeply impoverished people can be arrested and fined, even though they aren't anywhere near enough accessible shelter beds in our state. Whether we think about people choosing or not choosing homelessness, which is mostly a myth in terms of people choosing homelessness, or whether we think about, people choosing or not choosing shelter and the different reasons for that, there isn't enough accessible. There's enough shelter, period, but there also is not enough accessible shelter for people in our state. And other things are coming. Medicaid cuts are coming. I remember what it was like before we did Medicaid expansion. I remember a man who was using Kroger bags in the place of colostomy bags living on the street. That was one of those powerful stories that I remember so deeply about how when he suddenly was able to get health care, how that changed his life. I remember another man who removed his own infected tooth with the pliers because you can't get dental care in the emergency room of any kind of significant care. And I thought of Coretta Scott King's words, "I must remind you that starving a child is violence. Ignoring medical need is violence. Contempt for poverty is violence." Sometimes we forget how these policy decisions are they're not just partisan bickering, but acts of violence directed at flesh and blood. They destroy the lives not of imagined stereotypes of humanity, but of actual people with names, people with worth and dignity, people whose lives should matter to all of us. And these are just some of the things happening in my small niche of the world, my small area of work, in the grand scheme of things, helping people who are homeless. And in December, just, when many of these changes hit at once, I saw these became all challenging for us at once, particularly the housing announcements. I found myself so hurt and harmed by so many threats that I barely knew how to function for a period of time. I found myself trapped in grief and anger and helpless and out of control. Perhaps at times some of you may have felt that way also. Perhaps some of you may feel that right now. I knew I had to speak to the state of our nation today, but I didn't really want to. How does anyone speak to all that's going on? How is anyone up to the task to even summarize what we're dealing with? It's all so big and so fast and so overwhelming. And I did, and I don't feel up to this because I'm not even sure how I'm coping with it. I'm just trying to stay afloat in my own little world, and perhaps you are too. So, standing before you, not quite knowing what to say, I find myself returning to one option that serves me well and over again, which is to just trust what I'm hearing inside and share that with you in the hopes that it might inspire something in you as well. And as so often the case for me, what I hear inside is these words that come from amazing people who have come before, who have withstood challenging times, who have lived extraordinary lives, and encouraged me to live into and also offer the words that they too have shared and embodied. So one quote that keeps popping up for me is from Edward Abbey. Some of you may know him. Abbey's a writer. He's an earth activist. He's passed away now, but he is kind of a really beautiful, amazing writer, very rugged in his writing, very brilliant, and also quite a curmudgeon. He's just a real grump of a guy. And his passion and his grumpiness come out in a lot of ways in his writing. And he's amazing in so many ways and challenging too. And he offers us these words. He says, one final paragraph of advice. Do not burn yourselves out. Be as I am, a reluctant enthusiast, a part-time crusader, a half-hearted fanatic. Save the other half of yourselves and your lives for pleasure and adventure. It is not enough to fight for the land, it is even more important to enjoy it. while you can, while it's still here. So get out there and hunt and fish and mess around with your friends. Ramble out yonder and explore the forest, climb the mountains, bag the peaks, run the rivers, breathe deep of that yet sweet and lucid air, sit quietly for a while and contemplate the precious stillness, the lovely, mysterious, and awesome space. Enjoy yourselves. Keep your brain in your head and your head firmly attached to the body active and alive. And I promise you this much. I promise you this one sweet victory over our enemies, over those desk-bound men and women with their hearts at a safe deposit box and their eyes hypnotized by desk calculators. I promise you this. You will outlive them. It's good advice. Don't just worry. Don't just fight. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your life. Have fun. Play with children. Take a walk. Grab a beer. Have some ice cream. Talk to the neighbors. Do things that make you happy. We need happy warriors. And you and I both need to remember the good we're fighting for by enjoying it now and again. Another quote that is speaking to me at the moment is a quote you probably hear a lot, but it's one of those that really sticks with me. It's Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers. And he said, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. He said this in an interview shortly after 9/11, deeply tragic times, that somehow a teacher of children, for lack of better words, chose to try and help children understand what was happening, which I think is just an extraordinary task that he took on to actually try and explain hard things to children. And he said that, look for the helpers. And coincidentally, I saw a video of Mr. Rogers yesterday, it just popped up on social media. And in the video, he was asked how he wanted to be remembered. And it was such an interesting question, and to watch his mind work. And when he was asked, he paused for quite a bit. He didn't really straight away answer the question how he wanted to be remembered. And he said more than I'm about to share with you, but these are the words that struck with me the most. Out of that silence, he spoke and he said, I just want to be remembered as a compassionate human being. That's remarkable. Just want to be remembered as a compassionate human being. And he glowed as he said it. It's easy to get cynical in these times and to view the world as nothing but bad. It becomes a religious act to notice. Let me say that again, because we don't want to talk about religious acts because of our concern about some. We sometimes forget there are other religious acts that are really beautiful. But it becomes a religious act to notice, connect with, and hold on to those moments when we witness human good. It's a religious act, a religious choice. It's an act of faith to connect with and notice and hold on to those moments when we witness human good. Because it's goodness that will save us. We will be saved by lifting up our greatness, by bringing out our best. Human bravery is all around us, and we are charged to call it forth. A third quote coming from me, coming to me is from of course, is from Lord of the Rings, and um, some great writing and some of the most powerful quotes for difficult times come through those books and through those words. And again, one you may have heard before, but very powerful words. J.R. Tolkien writes these words through the voices of his characters, Frodo and Gandalf. And in this quote, it says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time," said Frodo. "I wish it need not have happened in my time." "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. All we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given to us. We have been given this time. We can be upset about it, we can be hurt by it, we can complain about it, but all we have to do is, with the time, is to decide what we want to do with the time that is given to us. It is truly easy to lament the state of the world. It's easy to say, "I wish these were better times." The only thing, the only choice worth considering is what we do with the time that has been given to us. Who are we to be in this world? And lastly, and usually they say not to give you more than 3 points, but I'm going to give you a fourth because this one it keeps speaking, and so I want to share it with you. But these words come from bell hooks. She writes, "The transformative power of love is the foundation of all meaningful social change." The transformative power of love is the foundation of all meaningful social change. The transformative power of love is the foundation of all meaningful social change. I think it's important to remind ourselves over and over and over again what creates lasting change, what makes a difference. What leads us to greatness, what brings out our best. The transformative power of love. And so as we move forward today to manage in our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls, the craziness all around us and struggle with how to live and who to be, I leave you with these reminders, these points of advice, these connection points to help us navigate the trails. Be a reluctant enthusiast, a part-time crusader. Save the other half of your life for joy and adventure. Don't forget. It's an important one. 2, look for the helpers. Hold on to the good in life and in humanity. 3, focus not on the sad state of the world and lamenting its existence, but who you want to be in it. You can't change what it is, but you can direct you to be the person you most wish to be. And lastly, that 4th point, Remember that love is the foundation of all meaningful social change. Be that. May these reminders offer you comfort. May they help you move forward. May they give you strength, and may they give you peace. Shalom. Amen.
Something's taking the encouragement to find joy a little bit too seriously, whatever. Thank you so much, Forrest, for your always inspiring words. I think in these times, one of my challenges is to find courage, courage to commit to doing something that I think is the right thing to do, and then the courage to actually do it. So those are things that I struggle with all the time. But kind of in the spirit of trying to enjoy things, I had a slightly ulterior motive, but I did spend over an hour yesterday walking my woods. I ended up going 1.5 miles. I wasn't sure I was going to make it all. I was trying to find out where the limbs had blown down in the woods. That was the ostensible reason. But the beneficial reason was just tromping around the woods, and seeing what was out there and enjoying. I didn't get a chance to do that this winter, and this is my longest trip walking like that since I broke my leg. So I was very, very grateful to be able to do that. I enjoyed it. When there's not much going out in the woods, it's fun to see what is going on, and I kind of enjoyed that. So I have some closing words for you. Troubled times bring danger and opportunity. As we leave this place, let us embrace the opportunities and not be deterred by the danger. Let the community that we are lift us up and embrace us and give us strength to do our part in these times to come. Amen.